guys, my name's Olivia. Welcome to my channel. I thought I would do my first video as a book haul because over the last couple of months I've spent all my money on books, had no self-control, bought about 18 of them, so let's go through them. So a lot of the books I've got here today are from Book Talk. I'm very obsessed at the moment, so that's where I've been getting majority of my recommendations from. I hope they're good because a lot of these are from Book Talk. The first book I have here is Ember and the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I personally never read anything of Saba's before, so I'm really excited to check out her writing style. And for this book, I've never heard a single negative thing said about it. So I'm really excited. It's the first book in the Ember and the Ashes series, and it follows Leigh, who is a scholar living in the Martial Empire. And her brother is accused of murder. She meets a group of rebels who make an agreement with her. They'll rescue her brother if she goes into the military and spies for them. Whilst doing this, she meets the Academy's finest soldier, Elias, and it says their decisions will change the fate of the Empire itself. So I'm really excited to read this one. Also, I couldn't help myself and get this gorgeous new cover. It's so pretty. And then we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. So this is a book about a girl called April May, and she's walking around at 3 a.m. in the morning and finds a huge sculpture. She decides with her friend to film a YouTube video about it, which goes viral. April then sees this as an opportunity to have her own time in the And then we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is about a girl called April May who's walking around with her friend at 3 a.m. in the morning and discovers a sculpture. She decides to film a YouTube video about this that goes viral. And April sees this as an opportunity to go in the spotlight and have her chance at fame. This book is about dealing with her safety, the consequences of being in the spotlight, the impacts on her identity, and the impacts on her relationship with her family. I've heard this deals with all of these interesting topics really well, and I've never read anything like this before, so I think it'll be a really good interesting read. The next books I got are the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. So the first book, Shadow and Bone, the second book, Siege and Storm, and the third book, Ruin and Rising. I haven't read this series before, but I have read the Six of Crows Duology by Leigh Bardugo, one of my favourite duologies ever. Some of my favourite books. I absolutely love her writing in that. Fantastic. And as you guys probably know, the TV show is coming out, Shadow and Bone, on Netflix, which is about the Shadow and Bone series and the Six of Crows series. So I thought I could not start it without reading the books first, because I hate going to a show or a movie without having read the book. It always feels like if I read the book after, it just ruins the whole experience for me. So the first book, Shadow and Bone, is about Alina, and she discovers whilst going through the fold, which is like this unnatural darkness with monsters inside, that she has powers. She discovers she's a Grisha, which is like a magical order. And their leader is called the Darkling, and he tells her that with her help, they are going to destroy the Shadow Fold and the monsters inside and free her country. So I have read this one already. I read it a couple of days ago. I did like it. It was like, I don't know if I felt as attached to the characters as I was in the Shadow of Bone. As in the Six of Crows series. The love interest, I don't know if I really liked him that much, but maybe it'll change once I go on with this series. I've read about 100-ish pages of Siege and Storm. I'm really hoping to get it done before the show comes out, but I procrastinate a lot, so who knows if that'll actually happen. I also got The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo, which is like a storybook, like a kid's storybook about the saints that you read about in Shadow and Bone. So you can read the actual book, which is pretty cool. I love when authors do that. Melissa Albert also did it with her Tales from the Hinterland that's in the Hazelwood series. It's got some lovely, gorgeous illustrations as well. So this one will be a quick read. But hoping to get it done by the time the show comes out, but who knows if that's actually going to happen. So next is The House of Hollows, which is by Crystal Sutherland. This is a big BookTok one. I keep seeing this all over BookTok, and also the cover is amazing. I don't know anything about this book, so I'm just going to read the blurb off Goodreads. So 17-year-old Iris Hollow has always been strange. Something happened to her and her two older sisters when they were children, something they can't quite remember, but that left each of them with an identical half-moon scar at the base of their throats. Iris has spent most of her teenage years trying to avoid the weirdness that sticks to her like tar. Horned men start shadowing her, a corpse falls out of her sister's ceiling, and an ugly, impossible memories start to twist their way to the forefront of her mind. As Iris retraces Gray's last known footsteps and follows the increasingly bizarre trail of breadcrumbs she left behind, it becomes apparent the mystery of what happened to them as children. The closer Iris gets to the truth, the closer she comes to understanding that the answer is dark and dangerous, and that Gray has been keeping a terrible secret from her for years. I really love a good mystery, and this sounds very mysterious, and I'm very, very excited to read this one as well. And then we have Rachel Cain's Glass Houses, which is part of the Morganville Vampire series, and this is the first book. This book was actually recommended by Of Glass Houses and Bookshelves on Instagram. This is one of her favourite series. This one I just believe is a vampire one set in a vampire town, and about Claire Danvers, who goes to college in this town. So I love a good vampire story, and I do trust Glass Houses and Bookshelves. Her recommendations are always great. So hope this one's good. Another book BookTok can't stop recommending, so I had to get it, was A Winter's Promise, which is by Christelle Dabos. This book is about Ophelia, and she has two powers. She can read objects and travel through mirrors. So she lives in a universe where there was an event called the Rupture, and that caused different arcs. So in this world, she is promised in marriage to Thorn, who lives in a city where no one can be trusted. She also discovers that she is a pawn in an event that could have consequences for the whole world. I don't really know much else about this book. That's about it. I guess sometimes it is good to go in blind and really enjoy it. So yeah, the cover's really nice as well. Heard nothing but good stuff about it. I just hope I really enjoy it. Again, as I said, a lot of these books are recommended from BookTok, especially this one, which is The House on the Cerulean Sea, which is by TJ Klune, I think you say. This one follows Linus, who is a social worker who works with magical youth. He's given a task, a very secret classified assignment by his leaders, to go to this orphanage and discover if these group of magical youth are dangerous, and if they're dangerous enough to bring about the end of days. So while at the orphanage, he meets the master of the orphanage, Arthur, and begins to come very close with him, and discovers that Arthur will do anything to protect these kids. I have heard it's a love story, which I love, and it's also a found family trope. One of my favourite tropes. Just gives you such a good feeling to read. I love found family. If I could read it in every book I read, it would be great, because I love it so much. So the cover's really cool as well. So this is definitely up there on my TBR. I hope she'll get to it really soon, because I can't not know what happens now, because I'm very curious. Another BookTok fave is A Sorcery of Thrones by Margaret Rogerson, which is a fantasy standalone. I don't normally read a lot of fantasy standalones, so this one sounds good. It is about Elizabeth, who is a foundling in a great library which possesses grimoires that have the ability to change into monsters. There's sabotage, and someone tries to release one of the grimoires. Elizabeth tries to stop this, and then is accused of treason. She must team up with her sworn enemy, who is a sorcerer, Nathaniel Thorne, and she finds herself entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. I think this is enemies to lovers. Absolute favourite trope. Haven't heard a bad thing about this. Heaps of recommendations, so should be a good read. Then we have a book that is in every Enemies to Lovers recommendation video, and that is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. So this is about Malik, who goes to a festival with his sisters to escape his war-stricken home, but his sister is taken as payment to enter the city. He then strikes a fatal deal, kill Corinna, the Crown Princess of Zeran, in exchange for his sister's freedom. Corinna, the Crown Princess, has her own aspirations. Her mother has just been assassinated, and she decides to resurrect her through ancient magic, requiring the beating heart of a king, and she knows just how to attain one by offering her hand in marriage to the victor of the competition. Malik then rigs his way into the contest, and he and Corinna are sent on a hard-pounding course to destroy each other. What more can I say? Enemies to Lovers, can't not read it. Sounds really fun. So the next one I actually haven't heard anything about. I just happened to see it on a bookshelf and pick it up, which is None Shall Sleep, which is by Ellie Marnie, a psychological thriller set in the 80s, where Emma Lewis is hired by the FBI to interview teenage serial killers. It's then when interviewing a sociopath, Simon, who is giving her information on a current serial killer case happening at the time. Simon is super intelligent and an expert manipulator. I'm really looking forward to reading a really fast-paced book. I love quick thrillers. They're definitely a favourite of mine to read, and I hope it's good. Maybe I've just discovered a read no one knows about because I've seen no one talk about it, so I hope that's not a bad thing. So I picked up the next book from Aidan Thomas because I also have his book The Cemetery Boys. I haven't read but have heard great stuff about the representation and story in that one. So I picked up his latest book, Lost in the Netherwoods. So this is about a girl called Wendy. Years ago, her brothers and her went missing in the woods, and she has no memory of what happens, but her brothers didn't return. Children in the town start to vanish again, and the police are knocking on Wendy's doors for answers. She then flees, almost hitting with her car an unconscious boy lying in the middle of the road. Peter, a boy she thought only lived in her stories, asks Wendy for help to rescue the missing kids, but in order to find them, Wendy must confront what's waiting for her in the woods. Really exciting, sounds very creative. Haven't really read anything like this before, and the cover is gorgeous, so hopefully I enjoy Aidan Thomas's writing so I can eventually get to Cemetery Boys. So the next book is a Courtney Summers book, which I picked up because I read her, I listened to actually her other book, Sadie. Perfect way to listen to that book, by the way, because there's a podcast set in the book. So when you're listening, sounds like you're listening to an actual podcast. 5-star listen, great story. So I decided to pick up her other book, The Project. So this follows a story of Bea, whose whole family, other than her sister, is killed in an accident, although her sister is dying in the ICU. She then meets the leader of a spiritual organisation called the Infinity Project, who claim they can save her sister. Lo, her sister, wakes up in the ICU alone, with most of her family dead and her sister gone. She believes there's something sinister about the Infinity Project, but can't prove it. A couple of years later, Lo is working for a magazine where she is approached by a man who claims the Infinity Project killed his son. She then takes this as a perfect opportunity to find out what's really going on and reconnect with her sister, although this puts her in the path of the leader, Lev, who will make her question everything that she thought was true. This sounds really dark and very mind-bendy. I really enjoyed Sadie, as I said, so hopefully I will enjoy this book too. So this book, I already do have a copy of it, but I saw this copy, like a special copy, and I could not help myself but get it, and that is Loki, Where Mischief Lies by Mackenzie Leigh. I haven't actually read the original copy I had, but I saw this gorgeous edition with like the gold sprayed edges and couldn't help myself. Mackenzie Leigh is also the author of The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, which is an amazing love story. I absolutely love that book. It's such a feel-good read for me. So this one is about Loki, from the Marvel Universe. And he is given orders by Odin to go to 19th century London and investigate some murders that have been happening. And while he's investigating, he also may be put on a path to discover where he got his powers from as well. Absolutely love Markle and... I absolutely love Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love his character. It sounds like it's going to be a fun, adventurous read, and how can I not say yes to this beautiful, beautiful edition. This is Not the Jess Show by Anna Carey. So this is described as Black Mirror meets My So-Called Life. It's set in 1998 and follows the normal teenage life of Jess Flynn. You learn about her family, her friends, her love interest. But things start to get weird. She notices weird things happening around her. Her friends stop talking when she enters the room, and one day a sleek black device with an Apple logo falls out of her friend's pocket. So I think it's about her just questioning her reality and uncover the truth about her life. Gives me big Truman Show vibes, which is a great film if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I hope it's good. I've heard a few people talk about it, so I'll get to it. Last but not least, we have All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Normally I'm not one to read like mermaid pirate stories, but this one caught my attention. Again, enemies to lovers, what can I say, I'm predictable. This one's about Amora, and she's the princess of the island kingdom Visidia, and she has been training to be the Master of Souls, so she must use her power, a demonstration, to secure her place on the throne. This demonstration goes wrong, so she makes a deal with a pirate, Bastian. He'll help her prove she's fit to rule, and she'll help him reclaim his stolen magic. Again, like I said, not something I normally read, but it sounds good. There's a destructive new magic, there's monsters, there's mermaids, so hopefully I enjoy it. Push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit with my reading. Not too far, but just... So yeah, that's all the books I bought over the last couple of months. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about today. I'd love to know your thoughts on it and what books you've been buying recently. So I know I'm not the only one that's going crazy with buying. That would be very nice to hear. I'll pop all my socials in the description below, so feel free to check me out there. Thanks so much for watching my first video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!